Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. Global News reports that global oil prices experienced a sharp decline on Wednesday morning, following an agreement for Iran to reopen the crucial Strait of Hormuz. This decision is part of a 2-week ceasefire reached with the United States, ending a period where the strait was effectively blocked due to ongoing conflict. Benchmark U.S. crude and Brent crude both saw significant drops. However, Canadian national average gas prices paradoxically increased slightly, with market analysts awaiting clearer impacts on consumer costs. The ceasefire comes after a series of ultimatums and threats from former President Trump, who initially threatened civilian targets in Iran but later called a 10-point Iranian proposal a workable basis for negotiation. While Israel supports the U.S. ceasefire, it clarified that the deal does not encompass fighting against Hezbollah in Lebanon. International figures like the UN Human Rights Commissioner condemned earlier threats from Trump, and Canada urged adherence to international law. CTV News reports that the Ontario government is set to expand Workplace Safety and Insurance Board WSIB coverage to healthcare and support workers in privately run retirement and group homes. Labor Minister David Piccini announced that this legislative measure will be part of a broader package of changes to existing labor rules. Currently, privately operated residential care facilities, which include retirement homes and various group homes, such as foster homes, do not mandate WSIB coverage for their employees. This proposed extension aims to ensure that approximately 29,000 affected workers, including nurses, personal support workers, and resident care workers, receive crucial protection if they experience workplace injuries or illnesses. Minister Piccini underscored the importance of safeguarding these frontline care workers. From City News Everywhere, 80 firefighters and 16 trucks with multiple aerial assists were deployed by Toronto Fire Services to extinguish a 3-alarm industrial fire in Etobicoke. The incident occurred on Shorncliffe Road, located between New Bridge Road and North Queen Street, at a commercial waste company. Upon arrival, fire crews discovered that an excavator inside the industrial facility was also engulfed in flames. Fortunately, Toronto Fire Services confirmed that no injuries were reported as a result of the extensive blaze. The cause of the fire remains unknown at this time, and operations continue at the scene. CTV News presents a timeline of British Columbia's 10-year public health emergency due to drug overdoses, which has tragically claimed over 18,000 lives. The crisis began with a sharp increase in fatalities, leading to the declaration of an emergency in April 2016 and the formation of a task force. Initial efforts in 2017 included a significant $322 million funding injection. While 2019 saw a decrease in deaths, the COVID-19 pandemic triggered a dramatic 79% surge in 2020. In response, BC pioneered a safer supply policy in March 2020, allowing prescription opioids and expanded prescribing authority to nurses by September. A major step was taken in May 2022, with Health Canada granting an exemption for decriminalizing small amounts of illicit drugs for personal use, which was implemented in January 2023. However, record deaths continued in 2023, and by May 2024, the decriminalization policy was curtailed due to concerns about public drug use. Further revisions in February 2025 mandated witness consumption for prescribed alternatives, and, ultimately, the decriminalization experiment was terminated in January 2026, as officials acknowledged it did not achieve its intended results. The Canadian press provides a comprehensive news roundup covering several key stories. Internationally, Iran, the United States, and Israel have agreed to a 2-week ceasefire in the Middle East conflict, which had significantly impacted the global energy market. However, conflicting proposals, particularly Iran's stance on controlling the Strait of Hormuz and uranium enrichment, quickly led to U.S. President Donald Trump calling Iran's plan fraudulent. Israel supported the ceasefire but explicitly excluded fighting Hezbollah in Lebanon. Domestically, Canada's Liberal government is closely watching the Terrebonne by-election, as a win there would secure the 173 seats needed for a true majority in the House of Commons. The Canadian Union of Public Employees is criticizing the federal government's investigation into airline unpaid work, arguing it's not adequately addressing flight attendants' concerns. Indigenous women's advocacy groups are urging long-term federal funding for safety and prosperity initiatives, expressing concern over current funding uncertainty, especially as major resource and infrastructure projects could increase risks. Finally, British Columbia marks nearly a decade since declaring a public health emergency over toxic illicit drugs, with over 18,000 lives lost, highlighting the ongoing crisis as unregulated drugs remain the leading cause of death for adults under 40 in the province. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.